Yes, in progress. Because even we are not sure yet if that will be shared or when that will be shared for other people who couldn't join, but for sure we will present some summary after this meeting. So we have some points, some fixed ideas that we can always find. Yes, so thank you to all participants of today's meeting, especially thanks to our guests. And who have we here today? We have Monika Bydełek from Poznań Toastmasters Business Club, where she is current club president. In Toastmasters since 2020, and by profession HR specialist with an economic background and 5 years of professional experience in the IT industry. That's why I wanted to have her here. Especially welcome, Monika.
Good evening.
We have also Dorota Ucieklak, different profession, different background, philologist, psychologist by education, contract management specialist by profession, teacher, copywriter by passion, and she's a member of 2 Toastmasters clubs since 2018, so a bit longer. Currently also a club president, and in the past she held a few others roles in the club. Welcome, Dorota. Good to have you here. And we have also Jana Moskalkova, and she is a member of Toastmasters since 2013. Can you imagine? And she fulfilled all of the roles in the club board, even in 2 clubs. Also, she did something more. She is a current area director for F3 area. Yes, so I'm very curious. Yes, welcome, Jana. I'm glad that you accepted my invitation. Yes, so let's talk together and let's find out the common things or maybe some different ideas for this topic, how to keep members. But first, because when I think about how to keep members in the clubs, another question appears. What keeps you in the club, or what made you stay in the club for so long, for different period of time? Let's start with Monika.
Okay. And that's a very interesting story because I was wondering about joining the club like since 2017, I guess, and there were like a little bit of troubles of joining, and then a pandemic, etc. However, I guess it was a bit of curiosity. Let's give it a try, just to see what's going on, how it looks like. And actually, one of the members asked me how I got to know anything about Toastmasters. How do I like it? Which I really was like surprised. So welcoming atmosphere in the club. And they asked me also whether I want to join for the next meeting. So I said, yeah, sure, why not? So it was the part of the story. And this is how it started. After, I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks, I got an offer from the, at that time, the president of the club, whether I would like to join the board members and also be the VPPR in the Toastmasters Club. And it was like, yeah, interesting experience I could get from the club and from the different experiences. And say, why not? So this is my motivation. It's like, why not? Let's give it a try. And actually, it's some kind of exploring, yeah, and see what's going on and how I would, let's say, test myself in different situation, whether I would keep motivation in the members club, whether the club would grow or not, how many obstacles and problems will appear and how I would manage it. And also like different ideas share one to another. It's very interesting experience from my point of view. So at the moment, it's like kind of exploring, a little bit of learning. And I think that many interesting people in the club that could share ideas, different topics. It's a business club, so kind of knowledgeable people about some different topics in many areas. So yeah, that keeps me in the club at the moment.
And the task, the job of being, the president.
Yeah, well, being a president of the club, I feel the responsibility.
Responsibility.
Yeah, sure. I feel that because I try to be at every week on the meeting and started like with the mission, with the vision of the club, sometimes with the current topic, and say thank you to the club members, to just say something warming to the members club, that they feel the club is still welcoming and a nice place to be for them.
Okay, thank you for such ideas. Maybe we can use this knowledge in our environment. And Dorota, how it was or how it is with you?
I usually joke that I joined out of existential boredom. It was a time also of transition in my life. I was looking for another job, maybe changing the branch I was working at that moment. And a friend invited me, a colleague from my previous job. And at the very beginning, I simply liked the people who were very friendly, very supportive. And I liked the fact that I could really use English. And that kept me for a few months. Then I was invited also to take the role of vice president of PR, which I found very interesting for me. I learned a lot during 6-month term. And then I continued as secretary. And my general motivation has changed many times, in fact, for these 3 years. And that's what keeps me, that, I can always feel that I have something here to learn, or, just to find something interesting. So sometimes these are interesting people, sometimes, not all the time, yes, but sometimes very interesting, fresh for me perspectives from people from other backgrounds, from other professions, with other experiences. So it's always something coming up which surprises me, sort of. And it's a challenge, but it's not a challenge which would be too hard. There is. I can always feel that this environment is really supportive, friendly, and I have made friends in my 2 clubs, and that's also what keeps me. So where there is at least a small group of people with whom I get on very well, that's always a place to go back.
Okay, thank you very much. Interesting that this motivation can be different for new members and for current members. That I think that rarely people join Toastmasters for people or for friendships, but it changes then during times and say for relationships. Very interesting. Okay, and Jana, how it is for you?
So I definitely believe that the values I have, they changed throughout the whole my Toastmasters journey. And at the very beginning, the first aim to join Toastmasters Club was to practice my English, because I had a real strong lack of practice. And very, very soon, after several months of being a member of the club, I became the officer. And year after year, I tried different positions. And at that time, I was concentrated on the leadership track. So I joined Toastmasters when the educational system was different, when there was CC and CL tracks, and I was concentrated on the leadership one. I was moving on that project, those projects, and I was changing the officer's position, so developing myself as a leader and not very much time spending for the speeches, not as a public, so I was not actually developing like a public speaker. And it was interesting. It was interesting to be a leader. It was interesting to learn how to communicate with the members of my executive committee team, how to make move over some conflict situations which occurred sometimes. And I was really responsible for the things we did, and I was really full in the process. So then I was exhausted very much, and I had a break from Toastmasters for about a year and a half. And then after that, I came back after Valeria invited me back, our division director, and I came back to another club. And after that period of time, so I look at the officers club positions a bit different. They are not very much interesting to me right now, because that's, like the first level, which I had already moved on. So now I'm in the area committee, in the division team, and it's a bit more interesting. So there are new perspectives. And the fact that our division joined Toastmasters, our area, so-called area, we had our so-called area in Moscow several years ago, but it was not official. We were undistricted. So this year we joined the division officially, and that really opened a lot of perspectives for our Toastmasters club in Moscow, in Russia. And my new motivations are to spread the Toastmasters community throughout at least Moscow. It's a huge city, and we have so little of clubs in Moscow. I'm very surprised why it happens, and I'm really interested to spread this community throughout the city, to find out more clubs, and to show to people that Toastmasters is such a great place to develop oneself and to see new perspectives in every life. So really people find very different things to develop thanks to Toastmasters. That's it.
The mission.
Probably.
Complete. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. I wonder if now, because the second question would be, what do you think is the most important to keep the other people, the other members in the club? Maybe this is the same thing as kept you, but people are different, and there are many factors, but what is maybe the first thing you think of when you hear this topic, or what is the most important for members? Dorota, maybe this time you first.
For me, I would formulate two directions, let's say.
Okay.
So first, value, which is a very broad notion, but to keep members, we must, as a club, we must give them value. So that's very diverse. I'm in two clubs, a Polish speaking one, Vistula, and English speaking one. So in Speaking Elephants, I can see that we are probably more diverse, and we have more diverse motivations and backgrounds, because one common thing we have is just speaking English. That's why people come to the club. So for many people, the value that we give is just good quality English, evaluations, not only public speaking, but also, this linguistic tips. So that's the value, but there are many others. So for instance, some people come to speak English, or some people come to learn how to make good presentations at work, but they stay because they can see, okay, I learned a little bit, I gave a great presentation, I was praised by my boss, but then I want to stay because I can see I have much more to learn. Yes, I can see people who have great level of leadership, of speaking, and I want to be like them. So it's sort of, giving the example, giving the value. And of course, all of us have something different to offer. So that is the value of the club. But that's always the combination of what all members contribute to the club, this value. The other thing, the other direction, I was a VP Education for 1 year. I think it has tremendous meaning. So for me, the quality. If we want to retain members, if we want to give them any value, we must keep the quality of the meetings. So I know that it's very difficult now after the pandemic, when we've lost many members. And that's why I believe that it's very important to keep some close relationships with people who are engaged, who are experienced, even if it's a small group of people. That's a good start, to have a small group of people who have some experience, who want to give value, who want to do something, to appreciate them and to let them do, to let them make their ideas, their dreams happen in this club, whatever it is.
Okay.
And then I think people come and, well, they ask, wow, that's interesting. I have never heard of that. So that is this fresh value that they get. But when they deliver their icebreaker, when they feel that it's not so easy as it seems, when they can compare themselves with these few people who give that value, they can always say, well, I have people to learn from. I want to stay, even if I have some other priorities. I want to be here, So for me, I would summarize value. So what we give as individuals, but we also get it from this club of individuals. And the quality, which is, I would say, ensured by the board. So this small group of people who is responsible for that.
Okay, thank you. And Diana, what will you say for that?
I'd like to continue the previous thought a little bit, but to give it some additional points. So I think that the main thing for keeping our members with us in the club is to try to have a constant interest for them in the club. And as I have already said on my own example, the values changes throughout the year, throughout the time, very often, very strongly. And the main thing is to try to communicate with each and every member of the club and try to not to lose that moment when he or she is ready to leave the club and to stop visiting it at all. So it's a combined work of vice president education and the vice president membership, because it's very difficult for VPE to do it all alone. So it's really simpler to split all the members for 2 or even 3 offices. Maybe the president can also take part in this communication process and try to learn which maybe problems this or that member has right now, which stops him from visiting the club, or maybe what he or she is interested in right now. Sometimes people are interested in the speeches only, and sometimes people try to help the club to prepare the meetings, and then they get tired of these things and they want to stop visiting the club because of this fact. So it's necessary to try to learn their interest right now and try to use their energy in the correct way for the help of the club, I believe. So that's the thing which, in my opinion, will help.
Okay, we
to
will go back to
keep
that
members.
later. Thank you. Monica?
What I think about, it's something like Dorota said previously about the common aim, I guess. In our culture, of the club, there is like the aim, it's the business, but not only. Entrepreneurship, I guess, having a little bit of troubles with managing people. Sometimes this is the very common topics.
So common problems also.
Yeah, they are common topics that we share about the influential of the external world in the business, etc. However, I think also what Jana said, the good relationship. I mean the trust. Like we had some members that actually didn't participate in any meetings like for 3 or 4 months, but we still had relationship with them. Why? What was the reason why he or she is not coming? And mostly it was because of the busyness of the life, like work life or family life. It wasn't something like they didn't want to come, they just didn't have time. And I think like from the perspective of president, what keeps them, it's a good relationship, the trust that it's okay, the understanding that it's okay that they can't come to the club, I guess. So yeah, from my perspective, it's the common aim, the relationship, the trust, and also the good atmosphere that no one would judge us in the negative way. What I mean is that many people said that since they have been members in the club, they feel that whatever they say in the company, they feel like more self-confident, because in the club they see that what they say, it's valued. It's very important for other members. So they had this self-confidence in the workplace as well to, I don't know, to speak with the problematic boss, or to have some opinion in managing people, for example. So I guess, like, if I summarize, it's the aim of the club, the common aim, relationship and trust, and also the good atmosphere.
Okay. Thank you. So in relation to that, to those relationships, good relation in the club, I have a question. I wonder, what do you say? How to build those relationships? What can clubs do, even outside of clubs? What initiatives? Do you have maybe some examples? Jana, how to build those relationships between club members? Yeah.
It's quite a challenging question. I believe there is no a single recipe which will work each and every time. And probably how to build some relationships outside the club, probably it's better to try to organize some events outside the club. For example, we organized in the previous years, we organized the New Year parties, we organized some jazz evenings in the cafe. So we had one of the members of the club who played the English, who played the musical instrument and even sang. So he told us about that, and he decided to invite all the Toastmasters to his event, and that was really interesting thing. So we learned about him, we communicated to each other in the informal atmosphere in the cafe with some hot drinks, so it really made us closer to each other. And I believe that such events really work, because very often I see in the Facebook news feed that people went to climb together, I don't know the English word, so to climb together, they walked in the parks together. So so you start the process from inside the club, and it starts to work itself after that, because people try to create some events and invite each other to these events, and they get to know each other better, and they make these things make them closer. And also the project Random Coffee, I believe that it was created not by Russian clubs, it was created upper. Do you know about the project Random Coffee? No?
Something.
I don't know when it appears. So anyway, very shortly, Random Coffee. So there are the things that people sign up for taking part in these projects. And so there is a list of people, and the moderators choose random 2 people, and set the schedule for their meetings. So there are random pairs who meet each other once or 2 times a month, and they should go to the cafe, drink some coffee, and discuss some informal things and get to know each other better. And then they should give a report, some photos, and that really works. So people get acquainted, because there are several clubs in Moscow, and very often people even do not know members from other clubs. They know just their own club, and that's all. Only the officers know each other better, but regular members do not. And Random Coffee makes people get acquainted with each other, and that's also a really good thing to spread the information
Very
about the
interesting.
clubs.
Thank you.
Interrupt because Jana mentioned about the hikings. So this weekend we had the hiking, and in Vilnius we have 4, I think, clubs, and all of them was invited. And we met maybe 30 people around, and then we grilled. So it was very nice to play some games, introduce ourselves, see individual what we want to do, why we are in the Toastmasters, and that from that point we started to see why we are coming to Toastmasters, and that different surrounding so changed how they are communicating. So it was very nice. So yeah, and it's very nice solution to start building the friendships and connections like this.
Very good point and idea for, I think, all of us. Thank you. Monica, will you add something to that? Some other ideas?
I don't think about anything specific. However, when we had rent a room for every first day of our meetings, a room, yeah. And after the meetings, we just go out for, I don't know, just chit chat, to have a coffee or to eat.
After party.
Yes, exactly. So it was really nice to meet people after such a long time of online meetings, and I think this is like very gathering, and people are really missing like real life offline meetings. So it was really nice to see them and just meet up somewhere in So yeah, I think offline meetings are always a good alternative from online meetings. Yes.
So also very useful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Dorota?
I would add my thoughts about these extra club events like hiking, sport events, cafes, and so on. I like it. We've organized many of that. We've organized cycling, skating, walks, visits to museums, recently to a gallery run by one of our members. So we do that. It's a good thing, especially for members who are already rooted a little bit, who feel a part of the community. We attract some new members who, okay, I want to learn more about these people, and they can learn more private stuff. So that's a way to build this more private, personal relationships. It's also a very good opportunity for pairs, mentor and mentee. I myself, encourage people to meet outside the club as a mentor and mentee, And I think it's a very important part of this process of building. And I also feel that leaders of the club should, in that respect, building relationships, they should lead by example. That's why, for instance, for me, it's a must when I'm present at the meeting. Usually I am present. I am at the after party. We also have after parties after our hybrid meetings. And I encourage at least, for instance, the Toastmaster of the evening to be present and to take care of the guests. So, because, you know, that there must be some division, some sharing of, because it's also a responsibility. If you have guests, you must take care of them. That can't be just one person who does it always. Yes. So for me, it's pleasure, but it's also kind of organization and sharing the responsibility. It's sort of long-term planning also, this building. And what you mentioned, Monika, I liked it very much, that sometimes it's not very specific. It's just maintaining this contact. For instance, I, as VP Education, I had a saying that sometimes I have to send or, yes, usually send a special invitation to someone. So I can see that the person is floating away. So I myself, as a more rooted member, I must reach out to this person who maybe, you know, is hesitating. We don't know the reasons, yes? And it works sometimes, because sometimes these people come back and something clicks at that moment. So this building relationships is, again, two ways: something special, some special events, but also simply every meeting, every conversation we have.
Thank you for that. Yes, every meeting, and especially the meeting, because the meeting is the product itself and the value can be shared with it. So what is your way to, or your observation to have the valuable meetings, to have them interesting for members? Jana, only I would ask you for some very short summary of the idea, because I see how the time is flowing.
It's really flying.
Flying.
I believe that for me, the most important part of the meeting, they are very important, every of them. But for me personally, the most important part of the meeting is the evaluation session. And it's extremely important to find experienced and really helpful evaluators who would be able to analyze the speakers, to give them useful recommendations, and to find some positive moments, and to wrap it all in a good evaluation. Because yes, the speakers very, very often they are nervous, they may sound not very enthusiastic, they can be scared, and so on and so forth, but they have to get very good evaluation to stay in the club, to move on, to develop themselves. And it really makes me upset when I see weak evaluations. I believe that's really a thing to work on for the VP, to concentrate on these moments. So that's the thing that makes the meetings really helpful. Yes.
Thank you. Dorota, and for you, for your observation?
For me, two parts. Prepared speeches and impromptu speaking must be a good balance, and there must be room for people, as many people as possible, to speak on the stage. When it comes to evaluations, I do agree that they are very important. For me, the most important part of that, even if the evaluation isn't maybe very good or precise or not very helpful, it's not a problem for me. The problem is when it's too critical and when it brings too much bad emotion. And I believe that can ruin a very good meeting with very good speeches or very nice table topic session. So I would call it maybe certain standards, of evaluating people are very important. So general variety of speeches, prepared speeches. So when I have for instance, an icebreaker, I'd rather have another speech given by an experienced speaker, so that, experienced members had also some fun, yes, some excitement and so on. And definitely space for table topics for people, also guests or fresh members, simply to have this experience, to be on the stage at least for a little while.
So keep them engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And Monica, for you?
When I think of our club, it's a little bit different, because when I think of it, it's related to business. Sometimes people want to be too prepared or too perfect in some moments. So I encourage them to be more spontaneous sometimes, because, life is unpredictable. And sometimes I just feel that they have the energy, they have the idea. It's just about giving them the space and saying that that's okay to make a mistake, right? And the other thing is that our people is my inspiration, like internally, I guess, because I think this club where we are gives people room for sharing some interest of them. It's something like inspires me, because everyone, each of them, is interested in different areas, but actually we've shared the interest of this person. So whatever it's psychology, investment, financial, I don't know, like battery or whatever, cars, we usually have a really nice discussion about this common topic, and we share ideas and have the discussion about proposed topic, which is, I think, very important for our members, because everyone feel value to each other. That's why I think like we have this very important part in our club, that every interest is very valued.
Okay, thank you. And Monica, you mentioned about the business goals, or this what is common for the members of your business club. And I would like to ask about this business approach, because in Toastmasters we can treat, I like this comparison, like a company, like a small company, but still, or like a corporate, big one. But we have some tools that are used also in other companies. And I wonder if you have something you can, what is worth to use or recommend, or you implement it into clubs from business, like for the membership, let's say, membership retention, because, for example, for HR, it's also very important, yes? So what could you suggest here, or what you observed, Monica?
Okay, we had a session with one of the managers who also is a Toastmaster. And what I liked is that in Toastmasters, the specific is that you don't get salary, you don't have a job, like you don't have a boss, right?
You have a job.
By yourself to do something interesting, which inspired me. And actually, it's very important to have the good relationship, to get to know to a member, to know what his or her situation is, to think about his purpose or her purpose in the club, to bring the motivation from themselves, I guess, right? So this is very important in business, because sometimes, of course, we get money in business and we have, I don't know, like the leader. But on the other hand, the mechanism of motivation is actually the same. We want to do something which is important to us. we want to have a purpose. For example, we want to have have the interest of each other, right? To have like something interesting to share, to get the knowledge from each other. So I think the mechanism is very, very similar to the business one. And that experience from Toastmasters gave me some kind of like background. What can I do for other people in the company? Even though they have like different relation with the business itself, but on the other hand, the mechanism of motivation and also get to know each other, what's the most important for them and interest to the people, it's like very, very similar in Toastmasters Club and also in business.
Okay, thank you for that comment. And Dorota?
In our current board, our VP membership is a sales manager in his job. And in fact, at the first meeting, the board meeting, we applied this sales perspective, which means that we analyzed our target group and our ideal purchasers. So we imagined the club as service providers. And we had really quite interesting conclusions. We used them also before our renewal campaign. And that's why, in fact, in my club, we could quite precisely predict the retention. I wasn't surprised with the people who, in fact, renewed our membership. And I wasn't surprised with the people who simply said no for any reason. But one thing is that one person, I think Monica mentioned that, or Jana also, people sometimes want to just have a break. So they simply push it in time, but they come back. But it's for us to know what their motivation is, because that's for the future when they come back. We know that, and we can use that.
Thank you. And Jana?
Marta, can you please repeat the question?
The question, maybe it's not that clear, but it's about like business approach and taking tools from companies, from corporate life into Toastmasters, to treating the membership retention as like you were a boss or like you were a manager in the company. What you observed or what we can use?
The first thing that came into my mind is about PR campaigns that really matter and that are really some sort of marketing things that are used in the companies and the business for their advertisement. So anyway, some people call us a sect. So Toastmasters is a sect, and we try to sell the benefits of Toastmasters to people, even if in some wrappings which we do not understand, which we would not mention if we didn't have the aim to sell the membership. So we work as marketing managers somehow, and maybe PR campaigns are a very important part of that things. And PR is quite a difficult position in the club committee or in the area and the upper committee, and very often people agree to do this role, to take this role, but they didn't understand a complete aim of this role and the importance of this role and the importance of the qualified content and the qualified graphic material and so on and so forth. So probably this tool is a bit underrated, but it's really important to have a qualified one.
Okay, thank you, Jana. I'm afraid this was the last question for this English part. Really, the time was flying so fast. However, I am sure that all of us could find some inspiration, some new ideas, new things, new projects that we can do in our clubs, our environments, our areas, even. but the answers, the things were mostly common things. It's the atmosphere, it's the valuable, interesting meeting for members, is the job or the tasks, new challenges that keep the members doing things or exploring things. Relationships, probably the most valuable one. Common goal. And yeah, new challenges, new things for ourselves that we can grow. Yeah, thank you for your inspiration. For after this part, we will create some summary of it so we can all also gain something from it. And unfortunately, we don't have time for question and answer sessions, but if you stay here, then maybe someone can write the question into the chat. But right now, we are switching to the Polish version. Maybe you want to stay, feel free to do it. So thank you very much for Monika, Dorota, and Jana, to our guests, for your input, right, and your experience. Big congrats.
For invitation. It was really an interesting experience to get acquainted to people from other countries, other Toastmasters Club. That's really interesting. And I hope you will send the information somehow, some summaries after the event.
We are now connected, so.
Okay, yes. And guys, I really do not understand Polish. That is why I have to leave, and I wish you a good, a very inspirational and creative session for the second part.
You.
Thank you. Bye-bye.